हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Namaste friends. Team Param Vedanta warmly welcomes you to session 34 of the series Gift, Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation. We are studying the Bhagavad Gita, drawing from Swami Paramathananda's talks and the Shankara Bhashyam for deeper insights. We are now studying the 7th chapter, titled Gnana Vijnana Yoga. We learn from Lord Krishna himself about the nature of this world and of God, the omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent God. We will also learn today about the fundamental human problem of samsara and its remedy too. It's no wonder that the Bhagavad Gita is so widely read and revered even today. I now invite Dr. Komal Prasad to introduce today's class and take the session forward. Over to you, Dr. Komal, sir.
Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In the 7th chapter, from the 4th verse onwards, Lord Krishna is taking us through the nature of God, Ishvara Swarupam. And we have seen that the nature of God is a mixture of Chit and Jada. Chit, Jada, Mishranam. Higher nature of consciousness plus lower nature of consciousness together is the Swarupa, the nature of God. Chetana and Achetana. Everything what we see, what we experience outside is a mixture of Chetana and Achetana. And that is bestowed by Ishvara. And that's the nature of God. As we see in the next slide, everything includes everything. Suppose if we say all ornaments are made of gold, and from a lump of gold we make various ornaments, we can say that gold is existent in all ornaments, and there's no ornament without gold. I will tell you a story about our Kailash Yatra many years ago. When we went, it was a magnificent, life-changing experience when we see this golden Kailas after parikrama and traveling so many days. And as a memory, most of us, what we did, we collected some pebbles and stones, and I have one here. So this is one taken from the Kailash. It has a kind of fond memory of the Kailash Yatra there. What happened, I had collected smaller ones, like this, some 7-8 stones from the foot hills of Kailash. And then we got it back, preciously stored it. One which resembled a kind of triangle, I kept it near the other, our God's place, Devruman in our house for daily prayer. And the rest I had just tucked it away somewhere. And then when I moved my house last year, I don't know where I missed it. I totally forgot about it. And then when I remembered, I realized some stones I had just put it in the garden without realizing they were these precious ones which were taken from Kailash. Then the day when I realized that I lost it, and I lost it in my garden, I started searching for them to find out which are those stones which are from Kailash. And to my surprise, not so surprised, but it's inevitable surprise that it was so very difficult because every stone is a stone. Whether it's a Kailash stone, Mysore stone, or Kota stone, all stones are similar. Everything is made up of stone. As I said about the gold, Suppose everything in the universe is made of gold, all the planets, all the universe, stars, everything. Do we actually see it as gold? Can we name it as gold? We will just disregard because everything is made out of it. Similarly, when the higher principle is existent in everything around us, we tend to forget, miss out, as the most quoted example of the light over our hand. When our hand moves, we'll be attracted towards the movements of the hand, the color, what we are seeing, the fingers, the nail, the lines, the digits, all those things. But we forget one obvious thing which is making us aware of the hand there, and that's the light. So it's a mixture. What we see is a mixture of light plus that thing, the hand. So this is the mixture of Chit and Jada. So this is the nature what our Lord Krishna is taking us through. This is about the external world. As we see internally in the next slide, we should remember that it's not just what we see outside. Inside also, the mind is a mixture of changing thoughts plus changeless consciousness. Know that all those states of sattva, rajas, and tamas are from me alone. But I am not in them, but they are in me. It's like a prism that changeless consciousness projects thoughts in three categories, three different ways: sattva, rajas, tamas. And they are inside me, but I am not inside them. And this interplay of these gunas, as we see in the next slide, creates the moha, raga, and kama. Like this mohini, what we are seeing, the interplay of these colors, tribir gunamai, so that mohitam. So they're deluded by these states of mind, which are affected by these three gunas. This whole world does not know me. That's the Ishvara, who am beyond these and who is changeless. So we'll see this verse also today. And in after this, up to verse 13 in the chapter 7 is about Ishvara Sarupa. And there's a shift from the next verse. The shift is about, after knowing the nature of Ishvara, the next is to know about the problem of samsara, the diagnosis of samsara, and followed by what's the remedy for it. So as we see here in 14th verse, we will learn that this divine maya of mind, which consists of these three gunas, is indeed difficult to cross over. The reason for the suffering is getting stuck and awed and deluded by the three gunas of maya. And only those people who surrender to me, can cross over this maya. As we see in the next slide, like the moth which will be just hitting on the glass, trying to reach the light beyond, we'll just be hitting ourselves over these three gunas, not knowing there's a way, and unless we surrender and we can't go across to the other side. Unless we close the umbrella of our ego, we can't go inside. Unless we close the colors of these three gunas, we can't reach God. So that's the surrender. So that's the remedy. And Swamiji gives a nice example we are going to study in this today's class. The basic solution of the problem of samsara is to aim for something changeless, which acts as an anchor for our lives. He gives the example of Haridwar or Badrinath, where people will take a dip. Unlike South Indian rivers, this Ganga is ferociously running fast, very sometimes a kind of fear where when we see it rushing, we want to take a dip, but difficult to get in without holding on to something. That's why Swamiji says in those ghats there will be uh, this kind of chains which will help for people to take a dip while holding safely onto a changeless anchor of that chain. So people looking at the person who is dipping, holding on to this changeless anchor, can't even think how, in what kind of enjoyment he is, even though he is in samsara. So he is dipping into this Trigunatmika Jagat, Trigunatmika life, and he's just enjoying because he has that anchor which is holding on, which is changeless, which he's sure that he can get back at an instant whenever he wants to. And that's the solution of samsara. That's the moksha what we are looking at. So with this, we'll start today's verses. Srimati Pallavi will be starting with verse 11. So I won't be coming in between. So you will have little extra time and each speaker will continue one after the other. Thank you.
Hari Om. Balam balavattam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshabha. Next slide. These are the word meanings of the shloka. So in the shloka, Sri Krishna says, O Arjuna, strongest of the Bharatas, I am the strength which is free from desire and attachment. In all being, I am the desire which is not opposed to dharma. So Krishna addresses Arjuna as, O best of Bharata, in the strong people, I am the very strength, Balama, the Sara or essence of the effect. If you extend it to any context, strength is the essence of all strong people. Therefore, I am the strength. So now Krishna divides the strength into two types. One is the constructive or positive strength, which is responsible for positive effect. Example, Ananjaya in the Puranas was a positive effect. The second is negative strength, or brutal adharmic strength, which is the cause of all destruction. Example, Ravana. Krishna says, I am the dharmic balam, or pure strength. And what is it? Krishna beautifully defines it. It is free from kama, raga, vivarjitam. Strength which is not backed by selfish desires. Only when selfishness dominates, the strength will become destructive. So kama means desires which is not yet acquired. Apapta vishaya kama. And raga means attachment to the acquired desire, which is prapta vishaya raga. That strength which is free from both of them is pure strength. In the second line, he says, Hey Arjuna, I am in the form of kama as well, in the people who are desire ridden. Now it is confusing. In the previous line, Krishna said, I am the strength which is not polluted by desire. So Krishna resolves this confusion, dividing strength into two types. We have to know that desires are also of two types. One is called dharmic desire, which will help me to grow spiritually, and the other is adharmic kama, those desires which will pull me down spiritually. Like desire for moksha or mumukshatam is also a desire which will come under pure desire. And the desire which will promote your inner growth is dharmic kama. Shankaracharya tells in Taitya, even Taitya, even desire for money can be a wonderful desire provided I want to earn plenty of money to keep it for my enjoyment, then that becomes a dharmic ichha. But when I want plenty of money for sharing with others or the society for Pancha Mahayagna, even that dana ichha becomes dharmic ichha. Money can be used for noble activities. Noble activities will be useful for purification of mind. Purification will be useful for knowledge, and knowledge will be useful for liberation. Thus, even desire for wealth can be a dharmic ichha. And Krishna says, Hey Arjuna, such a desire, dharmic desire, I am. Aham kama asmi. Hari Om.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, verse 11. Ye chaiva sattvika bhavaha rajasaha tamasaha chaye mattaha eveti tan vidhi natu aham teshu te mai. Krishna says, The entire creation has three types of karyams or products derived from the three gunas of Apara Prakriti. And importantly, in all these products, I exist as their very essence or substance. The three gunas derived from Karana, Apara Prakriti are the Sattva, Rajasa, and Tamasa. Here, the word bhava literally means padartha or an entity, but Adi Shankaracharya interprets it as manovritti or thought modifications. So, it is not only the external world, but even our bhava, the antakarana parinama, or the inner world of thoughts. That is a manifestation of the Lord. We know that our mind is an inseparable combination of changing thoughts, the Apara Prakriti, and the changeless consciousness, the Para Prakriti, just as the unchanging light appears to be a part of this hand, which could be normal or anomalous, like this one with 7 fingers. In accordance with the law which states that Karana Guna Karye Anuvartante, the entire material universe has 3 gunas. Whatever be the guna of the thought, Krishna says, Mattaha eveti tan vidhi, meaning every thought in every mind is born out of Krishna's Apara Prakriti, meaning Krishna is the cause or Karanam, and our thoughts are the product or karyam. So what is the relationship between the cause Karana and the karyam effect? The Karana Nirguna Brahma is Svatantram, Satyam, and it is the Adhishtana, whereas the Karyam Prapancha, including the thoughts, is Paratantram, Mithya, and Adhyasa. Para Prakriti we know is Nirgunam, and Apara Prakriti is Sagunam. Apara Prakriti has 3 gunas: Sattva, the knowing faculty; Rajas, the dynamic or action faculty; and Tamas, the deluding or the dull thoughts. And all our thoughts have these gunas in varying proportions. So, is Bhagavan responsible for our evil?
Recording in progress.
No. For every thought that arises in the mind, Bhagavan is only the Samanya or general cause. Our Buddhi or free will is the Vishesha or specific cause. So what is the difference between Samanya and Vishesha Karanam? Take the example of a house. In the construction of a house, cement and bricks are the Samanya Karanam, whereas the design of the house is the Vishesha Karanam. Another example, the Samanya Karanam for the movement of a car is the fuel, whereas the driver, the Vishesha Karanam, decides the route the car moves in. So when Krishna says, Mattaha eveti tan vidhi, here Matta means Samanya Karanam eva sarvam iti vidhi. The entire creation being born out of me is dependent on me, the cause. Why? Karanam vina karyam na tishtati. But does the cause depend on the effect? No. Natu aham teshu te mai. I do not depend on the world, but the world is sustained by me. Therefore, we see during Pralayam, although the world ceases to exist, Ishvara continues to exist. Dissolution of the cosmos is in fact the infancy of evolution. So, what should be the relationship between me and my mind? I should know that mind is not me, mind is not mine, mind is not Satyam, but I am Satyam. This Nityatva Nischaya of the mind, figuratively called Manonasha. Manonasha is not destruction of the mind. To be Satyam, I don't require the mind. But to claim that I am Satyam, I require the mind. So what do? Just keep the mind and claim. Thank you.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. With the 12th verse of the 7th chapter, Lord Krishna has completed the description of Ishvara Swarupam, the nature of God. In this portion, He pointed out that the entire creation is the manifestation of the Lord, consisting of the changeless consciousness principle, Paraprakriti, which is the superior higher nature of the Lord, and the changing matter principle called Aparaprakriti, which is his inferior nature. The formless, changeless witness consciousness alone comes under Parak Prakriti. Everything else in this world, our physical body, our mind, even the thoughts and feelings, they all come under the changing Apara Prakriti. Next slide, please. Now, this raises several questions. When everything is God and divine, why should human beings suffer samsara? Why do we feel incomplete, insecure, and the need to constantly search for happiness? So different people try to solve this problem in different ways, by acquiring wealth, by acquiring things, by increasing their relationships, by chasing for more money, name, fame, etc. But nothing really seems to work. This fundamental problem is called samsara. Here in this 13th verse, Krishna is diagnosing this disease called samsara and suggesting a remedy in the next verse. Next slide. Of these two natures of the Lord, why is Paraprakriti, his higher nature, more difficult to access? Why are we so lost in Aparaprakriti? The problem is, the next slide, please. The previous slide. The problem is the superior nature of the Lord happens to be formless, colorless, changeless principle, and therefore we miss the Paraprakriti, the higher nature, because all our senses are meant to perceive and register the changing objects and properties. Paraprakriti is not available for our perception. That is why it is called aprameya, not available to our senses. So how can you perceive something that is nirguna? And not only that, we also don't attempt to know Paraprakriti. Why? Next slide. Because we are kept so busy by this wonderful, tempting, beautiful, attractive Apara Prakriti. And that is why Krishna later calls Apara Prakriti as Mohini, that which keeps us attracted and attached to this world, and thereby miss the knowledge of Paraprakriti and Moksha. I am always preoccupied with this changing universe of sound, color, form, smell, and taste. If I'm not preoccupied with this world, I am preoccupied with my body, the thoughts in my mind, the emotions and feelings. And because of this preoccupation, one is never interested in Paraprakriti. Next slide, please. Therefore, Krishna tells in the 13th verse, Tribhir guna mayer bhavair ebehi sarvam idam jagat mohitam na abhijanati mamebhya param avyayam. Next slide. Krishna says, Tribihi gunamayi bhavai. The Apara Prakriti is endowed with 3 gunas. One is attracted either by sattva, raja, or tamoguna. And so, ebihi bhavai, their state of mind is affected and they become deluded, mohitam. Because of that, idam sarvam jagat, all the people of this world are immersed in Apara Prakriti and have no time nor inclination to know about the higher nature of the Lord. So Krishna says, na abhijanati mam, they do not know me, the higher superior nirguna me, which is param ebhyaha, beyond all gunas, and avyayam, never subject to change, which is shashvatam, permanent. This the people do not know. Now the question is, what is the harm if I do not know Paraprakriti? In fact, I find Apara Prakriti is wonderful and it is capable of providing everything to and for me. And if I can manage my life with the help of Apara Prakriti itself, then why should I waste my time in the pursuit of Para Prakriti? Next slide. For this, we should remember, Apara Prakriti is finite in nature, as it is bound by time and space. So, it can satisfy some of our needs, but it cannot give our most fundamental need for Purnatvam, fulfillment, peace, and happiness. And if Purnatvam is not there, Shanti will not come, as they go hand in hand. And Shastra points out that Paraprakriti alone has got Purnatvam of fulfillment, peace, and happiness. The second thing to remember is everything that is obtained in Apara Prakriti is in a constant state of flux. It is subject to time, and therefore nothing is Shashvatam or permanent. And since everything within Apara Prakriti will end, it can never give you security because whatever you hold on to is attacked by time. Next slide. As Adi Shankaracharya said in Bhaja Govindam, Ma kuru dhana jana yovana garvam. Nothing in this world is permanent. It is constantly changing. But every human being wants something changeless, an anchor. We want something permanent to hold on to. So does this mean we have to give up Apara Prakriti and hold on to Para Prakriti only? No, scriptures say, hold on to something permanent, that is Para Prakriti, and play with the impermanent, Apara Prakriti. Next slide. Now, dipping in the gushing, flowing river Ganga becomes enjoyable only when you are holding on to a fixed, permanent iron chain. This iron chain prevents you from being swept away by the flowing river. You can go on dipping, playing, enjoying yourself because of the faith that the iron chain will keep you safe. So in a flowing river, you require a non-flowing chain. In the same way, in this world of changing relationships, you require at least one changeless relationship. Unfortunately, we search for it in Apara Prakriti and expect that to be permanent. And when tragedy strikes at the most unexpected moment, we feel the ground underneath disappearing. Therefore, we require something permanent, Shashvatam, to hold on to. And that Shashvata Vastu is the higher aspect of the Lord, the Paraprakriti. And if we have got that chain called the Lord, then the worldly life is enjoyable. Because now you know that in previous life, that the Apara Prakriti, things come and go, but I am fine as I have got that chain called God. Apara Prakriti is like the river, Para Prakriti is the chain. So hold on to that chain. And Krishna says the unintelligent people miss this fact and therefore terribly suffer. As deluded, they expect Shashvatam from Ashashvatam. This is samsara. This is his diagnosis. Next slide. Therefore, what is the solution? You need not renounce Apara Prakriti. Use Apara Prakriti as a playground, but use Para Prakriti as a safety net. And play with Apara, then life will be a Leela. How to do this? It will be explained by Krishna in the next verse. Hari Om. Thank you.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. If everything that we see is God, why do we suffer? What is the cause of samsara? Before we undergo any therapy, let us have a very clear diagnosis. And this is what Shri Krishna is giving us in this 14th verse. God is present in everything and everywhere. But do we really see God everywhere in everything? Look around. Why is that? You see so many things around, but it is all objects and objects. Although we have been trained to Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshana, we still have a difficulty in seeing God in our everyday experience. Why is that? That is the diagnosis, and that is the solution that we will see. And the diagnosis is that great power called Maya. Maya has got two powers. One power is called the Avarana Shakti. The Avarana Shakti covers our knowledge in such a way that we do not know we are Purna, we are complete, we are Atma, we are Brahman. And when we do not know our true nature, we think we are limited. And because we have limited, in Mandukya, we are studying this as Agrahanam. That means I do not know my true nature. And then we have Anyata Grahanam. We identify with our limited nature and therefore we suffer. And that is called Vikshepa. So Maya has got two powers. One is to prevent me from knowing my true nature and then thinking that I am a limited person who has to work for Purnatvam or completion. Whenever we see the picture of Sri Dakshinamurti, there is one message very clear that Lord Shiva wants to give. All the time, keep your right foot on the ground to remind yourself that I need to know my true nature. And if I forget my true nature, I experience because of I need to keep Maya under my control. Otherwise, I will not be able to know my true nature. And then when I do not know who I am, I suffer a lot of limitations. This verse from the 15th chapter, from the 5th chapter, 15th verse, the second line goes like this: Ajnanena avritam jnanam pena muhyanti jantavah. So Krishna is giving us the diagnosis. Pena, therefore, muhyanti jantavah. Why do all these beings, these creatures, Sri Krishna calls us creatures, why do all of us creatures undergo so much of suffering? Ajnanena avritam jnanam. The jnanam, that consciousness, you're able to experience the silence. You're able to see the break in my silence because of that voice. So that consciousness or that jnanam is avritam, is covered. And therefore, I have ajnanam to my true nature. So this is the problem. And now Sri Krishna gives us the solution. And this is a wonderful solution. And let us see how we can follow this solution. Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante maya metam taranti te. Word by word meaning. Yesha daivi maya. This divine maya, mama, of mine, gunamayi, is full of those three gunas. He, duratyaya, is extremely difficult to cross over. Yeva te, only those people, ye prapadyante, who surrender, mam, to me, taranti, crossover, yetam, mayam, this maya. What is maya? Nicely defined. Yama. Yama means that which is not samaya. What is maya? Maya is that which is not, but appears to be. That which is not. See, the problem with that which is not, asat is not a problem. The problem is what appears to be. The whole world is an appearance. And that is why this whole world of appearances is the problem. And therefore, when we say asatoma sadgamaya, to move from that which appears to be to that which is real. So that is what is Krishna telling us. All this whole world of appearances is not so substantial. Can you be able to discover that non-changing substantial in and through this changing Jagat? And Krishna gives us a very simple solution. And the solution, that is why from the 7th chapter onwards, you have an introduction to bhakti right from the 7th chapter, which climaxes in the 12th chapter. Krishna says, my Maya is so powerful that it is difficult to cross over through our own intellect. It cannot be crossed over by ordinary means. Why? Because we do not even know that we are deluded. So what is the solution? He says, bhakti. You surrender to me. And when you surrender to me through a certain process, and that process will come through the entire Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna is only giving us one word, bhakti, surrender to me. But bhakti is a loaded thing. Bhakti is something that helps us to discover the essence in this verse. The essence in the verse is to discover the Atma within the Anatma. When you look around this world, you see so many things which we call Anatma, including my own body and mind. But in this body-mind, there is something Ekasara Nitya Satya. That means everything is changing, but there is something, one common factor, which is the essence of all, which is always there. And when that is true, that is what I need to discover in the Aneka, Asara, Anitya, Asatyam, Jagat, full of Maya that I experience. So Krishna gives us in this chapter one word. He says, surrender to me. And surrender means bhakti. So in the next few chapters, in the next few verses, including in the 7th chapter itself, Sri Krishna tells us more about bhakti. Bhakti means, can you make Sri Krishna initially as a means? I want to become rich, I want to become famous, I want to get over some medical problem. Sri Krishna helps me. This is stage one, Artha Artharthi. And then you become to Jignyasa, when Sri Krishna is not the means, but Sri Krishna becomes the goal. This is the big jump when Sri Krishna, when we shift from God as the means to God as the goal. But as we go into 13th, 14th, 15th chapters, we discover that we need to move from Ekarupa to Vishwarupa and finally to Arupa. Finally, we have gone through the Bhagavad Gita so many times. We have gone through so many Upanishads. Now, what does it mean to us? God is present everywhere in everything that we see. Why is that we miss God? We simply dismiss it as Maya. Is there one exercise which Swamiji has taught us and that we can practice from now on? And therefore, we are able to overcome this difficulty caused by Maya. Maya has the ability to conceal God everywhere. And what do we do? And this is the solution Swamiji has given us. Now look around the same room that you are. You see so many things. You see a wall, you see the flooring, you see so many objects. Why do you see all of them? Only one reason. Because there is light on that object. All right. I see so many things. Now this is called an enlightenment experience. Remind yourself, wherever you go, whatever you see, I'm able to see them because there is light on that object. That object I'm able to see because of my eyes. My eyes are able to see because my mind is functioning. My mind is functioning because of Atma. Therefore, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. In every experience, can I come in touch with the experiencer, the Atma? This is what Sri Krishna is helping us to discover in the course of the Bhagavad Gita, in the course of the Upanishads. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Namam Dushkrutino Mudah Prapadyante Naradhamaah Maya Gnanah Asuram Bhavamashritah. In the previous shloka, we understood that this divine Maya of the Lord, which consists of the three gunas, is indeed difficult to cross over. Only those people who surrender to the Lord cross over this Maya. Word by word meaning goes like this. Dushkrutinaha, the vicious, deluded, Naradamaha, mean people who are of the lowest category, Apahruta Gnanaha, who are deprived of their discrimination, Maya, by Maya, Mudaha, who are deluded, Ashritaha, Asuram Bhavam, who have taken to demonic nature, Na Prapadyante Mam, do not surrender to me. The vicious mean people who are deprived of their discrimination by Maya, who are deluded, and who have taken to demonic nature, do not surrender to me. In the next slide, we see that mean and deluded people indulging in themselves in evil actions follow the path of asuras and get deprived of their discrimination. Many people do not care to take recourse to the bhakti sadhana because they do not have the punya. Even to have bhakti, they require some purva janma punya. Katham akrutaha punya prabhavati. In Saundarya Lahari, Bhagavad Pada Sri Shankaracharya says, Akruta punyaha katham prabhavati. If punyam is not there, one will not be born in a culture which talks about moksha. He will be born in a materialistic culture where the whole life is Artha Kama Pradhana. In the next slide, we see that one should have sufficient punyam to be born as a human being first. Manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayaha. Lord Krishna says, Dushkrutinaha. There are many who do not have the punyam. They have punyam to be born as human beings, but not sufficient to come to Bhagavan or the Shastra. Therefore, Dushkrutinaha means Papinaha, Papavantaha, who are deluded by the Maya, who keeps them busy in the pursuit of Artha and Kama. This is the trick of Maya. This is the glory of Maya. Mayaya apahrita gnanaha. Discrimination. Maya means apara prakriti. We see many people losing money, position, people, and being deserted by them, thus seeing impermanence. But we do not take this, apply this in case of our own lives. Why? Because this is the job of Maya. Only Mudaha, utterly deluded person, is taking the impermanent to be permanent. In the next slide, we see that Anityam Nityatvena Bhavayati Atasmin Tad Buddhi Adhyasaha. This is called Shobhana Adhyasaha. In Shastra, which means superimposition of the wrong things on the objects. Therefore, they are mudhas. Knowing that he will be deluded, Bhagavan has given gurus and shastras to all of us. Sahayagna praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi. Gurus and shastras are there to help and guide us. Avidyayam antare vartamanaha swayam dhiraha panditam manyamanaha. Mundakopanishad describes this very well. They do not know anything, but they think they know everything. Thus, they do not take the help available for them in the form of gurus and shastras. Therefore, they become naradhamas, which means the meanest and the lowest among the human beings who miss the highest goal of moksha. In the next slide, we see the Lord saying, Asuram bhavam ashritaha. They get into problems for themselves as well as others. Navittena tarpaniyaha manushyaha. We saw in Kathopanishad, any amount we get, we will not be satisfied. Once life becomes artha kama pradhana, adharma will start, and this is called asurik swabhava. Asuram bhavam ashritaha. They will gradually compromise with dharma. In chapter 3, shloka 37, we see Bhagavan saying, Kama eshat krodha eshaha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapatma vidyenam iha vairinam. It is desire begotten of the element of rajas, which appears as wrath. It is insatiable and grossly wicked. Know this to be the enemy in this case. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Indu ma'am, and all the speakers of today, Srimati Pallavi, Dr. Anupama, Srimati Chaitana, and our respected teacher, Dr. Timappa Hegde sir, for bringing forth the wisdom contained in these wonderful verses. Our gratitude to Dr. Komal for introducing today's session of the day with those vibrant images. With each class, we learn more about our true nature and the nature of this world around us, refining our minds and slowly resolving the problems which we take for so real. Thank you, dear viewers, for joining us in the spiritual journey of self-discovery. Friends, the learning from our gurus has been life-transforming, and we are indebted to them for leading us from ignorance to knowledge. As all of you are aware, Param Vedanta has been collectively offering Guru Dakshina to all our gurus twice a year, once during Guru Purnima and again during Gita Jayanti. This year, Guru Purnima falls on the 21st of July, and the window is now open for all of us to offer our gratitude to our gurus. The decision to donate and the amount of donation is purely voluntary and left to your discretion. The mode of payment and the account details are now displayed on your screen. It will also be shared in all the WhatsApp and Telegram groups. A Google form will also be shared. All of you are requested to please fill the Google form so a receipt can be issued. Kindly note that for those of you staying overseas, the transfer should be made from an account within India. The entire offering collected will be made, will be offered to the lotus feet of our gurus, and we thank you for your continued support. With this, we come to the end of today's class, and let's tune in for the 8th session of the Mandukya Upanishad with Karika at 6:45 p.m. on Friday, 12th of July, 2024. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.